pretty straightforward, forwards, backwards. All right. That's awesome. Is that a rip-off shirt?
Well, it's the name.
All right. It's a nice Shepherd Ferry knockoff. I love it. All right. A little bit about me. I'm Brian Crilly. I'm an architect from Sacramento. Nothing too special. Yes, thank you for the comrades that came along on the trip. All 90 minutes from the valley. They have faces of me, by the way. All right. Nothing really special about me here. Like many people in here, I'm an emerging professional. I'm one of these robots just like you. We all ice the donuts. This is a great Shepherd Ferry painting. He's a local artist here in San Francisco. I come from a family business that's been around in San Francisco and now Davis, where my parents live, which is a butcher and deli business. Here in San Francisco, my grandfather, I come from an Italian family, even though I have an Irish last name, because my father tainted the well, as my grandfather used to say. But that's him on the far right, Vinicio Guerra. And 60 years, this business has been opened. And it's first started out in the marina, and now it's on the inner Sunset off of Terraville and 15th. So that's a plug, Guerra Quality Meats. But the important thing that he told me two things. The first thing is you're going into the family business. You have no choice. This is how you make a living in the family. So college is out of question. I don't care what your parents tell you. I'm in charge of the family. You're going to become a butcher or you're going to work at the deli. But the second and more important thing that he taught me was that to be successful as a butcher, you have to have a good amount of understanding of quality across the boards. And for him, what that meant was he's cutting up meat, right? He's cutting up animals. So know the land that your animal's growing on. Know the farmer, have a good relationship with them and their practices. This is back in the 40s and 50s too. I mean, know about health concerns with people in the preparation of meats and dietary issues. Know about environmental issues. This isn't, none of these things are new issues that we're dealing with. They've been around for a long time. And so that to me was a bit of an integral thought that really caught on to me as a young child, and this idea of this comprehensive knowledge that needs to be accumulated to be successful in life. Well, I did exactly the opposite of what he told me to do, and I went to college. And in college, what I studied was design, not architecture. I stayed close to the family. I grew up in Millbrae, actually, down the road about 8 minutes, and my dad had worked in the corporate world at MCI. We moved to Davis early, mid-90s, and I stayed at home for college. I lived in the backyard in a golf cart garage that was changed into a one-bedroom with a swamp cooler studio for me to study and practice and live and drink design. With a cool pool outside and a hot tub next to it, and I never had to walk through the house. I just walked through the side gate. But the important thing here was when I was studying design at Davis, I studied a bunch of things. There was textiles, there was graphics, there was fabrication, furniture, interiors, not just textiles, but fashion. All my, everybody I went to school with now works at Gap or Banana Republic. But the concept behind this was that there's all these little integral parts to the design world that somewhere in the upper division coursework, I found that architecture housed all of these things, and that's what really drew me into architecture. But when I got thrown out into the real world of architecture, it wasn't about all of those things that I was looking at that really drew me into architecture. The reality was there was all these keywords being thrown around, BIM being one of them. I learned BIM in college. Yes, I learned Vectorworks, which was later purchased by Graphisoft or whatever. It's a BIM tool. But the concept that less architects and the BIM tool is going to design everything for us and it's automated and everything just gets kind of information gets pushed in and drawings get pushed out and it's quicker, it's faster, it's better. There was a lot of standardization to architecture that I was beginning to notice into the world that I jumped into in 2002 when I graduated. The second thing was Sustainability. This is great, right? Sustainability is a checklist. You go down the list and check it off like, you're ordering food for a conference. Are you vegan? Yes. Would you like meat? No. Do you need housing? Yes. And then, oh, all right, I'm sustainable. Well, this is a bit of a turnoff for me, albeit it was an important step for the world around us to kind of understand and quantify the idea of sustainability. It wasn't the end result, and it wasn't going to be the driver of the change. So standards and automation and globalization. These are the types of things I started to see that were taking place with the role of the architect. We were just we're in line, just chugging away, pressing donuts with robots. This was the world at hand. And what that world started looking like to me was this. Dubai. I mean, seriously, a sustainable city in the middle of the desert. I don't care how much money you have, but Jesus. They look cool, right? But iconic architecture for the sake of iconic architecture. The architect really losing grasp about maybe what's important, and in the world becoming more of a standards, quantity, qualifying, and just abundance type of world. Like we could push this stuff out like we're running a copying machine. And it also looked like this. And every time I see this slide, my wife and I were catching up on that TV show Weeds. And they had that first song, the little ticky-tack song. So I'm not going to sing for you, but this is what I picture. The world around us started looking like this, whether it's vertical or horizontal. This is the world. And we all know what happened in 2008, right? Foreclosures on this. And to some, it even looked like this maybe, depending on which media source you're getting your information from. It was bad, and it's still somewhat bad around the country. San Francisco, LA, seeing some nice pickups. But yeah, it wasn't the way to go. Our bubble finally bursted, and started asking myself, why is that happening? So I started talking to the elders. What better way to learn about how to get through life than always having some good mentors around you, whether they be your parents, your supervisors at work, or just random other old farts that work into the profession. Thanks. And so, yeah, I just like it because it says elder, but really what this was supposed to be was just people that have been through it. And people started telling me about, read some books. And what I started realizing in reading through these books was like the Third Industrial Revolution from Jeremy Rifkin, a great guy, was that the breaking point was because a standard of living rather than a quality of living. And the idea of a whole new mind was we had this whole set that, we're running the world with our left side of our mind, and we need to be able to creatively capture the information we're gathering. So it got me thinking some more. So I thought to myself, what the hell does the emerging architect look like? What does our role in this world look like? So we're not Frankenstein, but there's more robots again, too. I really like these robots. And it got me to three. Oh, wow. Okay, that's why you load your fonts. It got me to 3 key points of an emerging architect, or the role of the architect, which is the first one. You can write these down if you want. You don't have to. I could be completely wrong on all this forecasting, by the way, is that the emerging architect will be integral. And the thought to the integral architect is such like this, right? Integral theory. It started back in the 70s, and the idea that no one area of information or design or whatever it is about your life that you're living is better than the next. And this slide is taken from a fellow who was using this for his master's work and some geographical stuff, but it starts to outline the areas, right? So you have the individual up top and then the plural down below. So the I, the me, the they, the it's, and then the we. And that self-development, physical health, governance, society, and cultural, all these areas it's integral. It's like my grandfather started telling me, you got to know everything, and everything's just as important as the next, right? And instead of doing things like a standard, we need to start being and living this life of a quality rather than just pushing out standards. Whoops, back. The second thing is lateral. This, for those of you that don't play rugby, this is called a lateral. The emergent architect is someone being lateral, is someone that, we have infrastructure now that allows us to communicate with others, cloud technologies, which are wonderful. We also have the ability to data mine, be able to take information from like GIS services and bring that into design and then share that with one another through Facebook, Twitter, House, not just virtually, but we can also do this, as Gray was talking about, co-locating. Now in Sacramento, we have the Capital Creative Collective, and then we also have the Hive, which are co-location type of ideas where we bring people together and they just share ideas off hours rather than actually during in hours. These two things lead to, all right, no, being integral and then also being lateral and sharing information leads to, should read better, but Masters of the Universe, right, He-Man? Well, the idea of this BIM stuff, the architect as a master builder, no. The architect as a master designer. And so this is one of the last slides, actually. I'll just go to the last slide. Think of a process of where the architect isn't doing construction documents anymore, okay? This is just kind of like my forecast, which is that that's the commodity piece of what we do. The knowledge that we bring really isn't in the construction documents and the detailing of a building. What we bring to as far as quality and services to a project is kind of the front end, and then our project management expertise through entitlements and permitting in those areas of the project. So imagine a process where, and let's just say we're using Revit. The architect is modeling this building, integrally designed. It's just integrally designed. We're sharing information and collaborating back and forth laterally to a point. Somewhere, I don't know where it is, but we just hand off that model to a general contractor. That general contractor then is taking that model, pushing the information in with trade partners while we, the architect, are still in responsible control of what they're doing, overseeing every aspect of what they're doing, managing their process while they push all the information in and also push out all the construction documents that we're signing. That, to me, is the future role of the architect. We're just taking what we know, which has kind of failed over this lapse of time, which is standards, and we're focusing on the quality elements of what we can bring to a project and what we see. That's just kind of it. I'll leave you with one example, which is, what does that say, 1 minute? That's perfect. Okay, so Sony, everybody's aware of Sony, right? So Sony is spending billions of dollars because they gaffed on one of the biggest changes in their industry, which was the digital music and digital media, right? Sony owned distribution, they had the hardware, they had the music, they had the video, and they had the technology. They had everything. The problem with Sony is that they didn't understand how all those things came together. And so they had a mini disc unit that wasn't talking to their video unit, that wasn't talking to their distribution unit. So they completely missed what Samsung, Apple, and all these other people came across on. So it's our job as the emerging architect, in our future role is to be able to be integral enough to share everything that we know with one another and our teams and move forward so that we can actually not facilitate the change, but go along with it. No one thing is going to change our world. Change just occurs over time. So if I can leave you with that, it's that being integral and lateral in a world where we push design rather than the documentation of it is the future role of our profession. If you want to follow me, I'd like to continue the conversation on Twitter. So that's me, at BM Crilly. Thank you.